Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavad-gita as it is. Here it is. We are reading the second chapter. My name is Latika, and I will start with the Sanskrit. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhis tada yogam avapsyasi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Yes, these are, how to say, it's a quite high level, but it is also a level that does exist. I will read the purport. To say that one is in samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness. That is, one in full samadhi has realized Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servitor of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. Yes. So this sounds very simple. And Prabhupada, we are reading his translation, and I'm a member of the ISKCON, International Society of Krishna Consciousness, that he founded. So this is an old tradition. He didn't make up something new. He didn't invent a path and wake up one morning and think, I'm going to now be the spiritual master of many people. No, he was first a disciple of his spiritual master. And that line of disciples and spiritual master goes all the way back to Krishna. So these instructions, they are Krishna's instructions. And yes, I'm thinking that I'm speaking into a camera, and this will be put on the YouTube, and all the modern people who may come across this might find this a little, how to say, a little strong, a little single-minded, a little. But actually Krishna consciousness, in one sense, is very single-minded. It has one point of focus. It just so happens to be that that point of focus, Krishna, includes everything. So when the Bhagavad-gita, that is considered to be the ABC of spiritual knowledge, to be the beginning point, in a sense, to the Vedic literature, at the same time it speaks like this about the flowery language of the Vedas, by which one may not be disturbed. And what does it mean? It means that the Vedic structure is vast. It contains everything. When you look at India, especially classical India, old India, you don't find that it's divided in different religion, because people in general would follow some level of Vedic instruction, either in a very simple sense. Society is divided according to the Varnashram society, not according to the modern caste society, which is like a modern, I shouldn't say invention, but it has stagnated. It has become very stiff. It has become very based on material birthrights and so on, which it was never meant to be. But some people will be on the edges of this, but they will still be included in the bigger picture. We will hear more about these different yoga systems: karma yoga, jnana yoga, and dhyana yoga. Karma yoga means activities, jnana yoga means knowledge, and dhyana yoga means meditation. They are not different religions. They are different aspects, different approaches, different levels. And we also have this Karmakanda section where most of this flowery language exists, where it's very attractive to enter into some form of meditation, hymns to the demigods, yagyas, offering ceremonies that yield a fruitive result, an understanding of the karmic system in such a way that you can be elevated to the heavenly planet. And that is part of the Vedic system, because the Vedic system isn't saying we are the chosen people, everybody else can go to hell. That is not what the Vedas is all about. The Vedas is about giving everybody the opportunity to, at whatever level you have, whatever desires you have, you can be part of the Vedic structure in order to become a little more closer to the spiritual understanding, to lift yourself a little bit up, and especially to not lose sight of the goal of the Vedas altogether. Today we have a society with which very much emphasizes free will, and this free will sounds very good, but sometimes it's also a little bit artificial. If you're born in a very poor country or a very poor family, or if you are entangled, and as we see nowadays, we are overwhelmed with so much noise. We have news, of course, we have education, we have entertainment, we have opinions, we have culture, we have so much, but it doesn't have a center, it doesn't have an anchor, it doesn't, how to say, it doesn't have the honesty to say, you take this path, this will be the result. The Vedas are honest like that. You take one path, you get one result. You're not cut out of the picture, and you're actually encouraged, if you have these desires, better to be, steady and peaceful, to not be disturbed, and to not create the disturbance within this bigger picture. But actually, it's an open secret that the ultimate goal is spiritual realization, because ultimately we are spiritual. Whatever gain you can have in a material sense, in a karmic sense, in the bodily concept of life, whatever you can achieve, it is temporary. It will come and it will go. And built into that process is hankering and lamentation. That which we don't have, we hanker for it. This what we have lost, we lament for it. And in the middle, there is no peace to be found, because we can never be sure what will we attain, what will we lose. So therefore Krishna says that whole process is temporary. That whole process is not the perfection. It is not the complete understanding. First we have to come, this is the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, we keep coming back to this. First we have to come to the point where we see there's a difference between me and my body. That soul, that identity, I am eternal. And therefore, we don't want to be distracted, and we don't want to be diverted. And therefore, Krishna is now explaining that the Vedas are obviously a good thing. They come from Vishnu, they give instructions, and so on. But depending on our own desire, on our own direction in life, we will be inclined to one aspect or the other. And here Arjuna wants to know if we objectively will find what is the actual perfection, and what is that position, what is that knowledge, where there will be no more doubts, where there will be no more illusion, where there will be no more suffering. And that has to be on the spiritual level, because per definition, everything of the material variety brings with it its own end. Whenever someone is born, we rejoice, we're very happy. We don't say, okay, you're born, this means you will die. But actually a fact is, if you are born, you will also die. So if you want to make a real long-term solution to any problem, if you want to make a real, foundational understanding that fits, that covers everything, because that's what Arjuna is doing. He brings up some point. This is a problem, that is a problem, this is a problem, that is a problem. So let me do this, and it will solve some of the problems. And then Krishna says, actually it's not true. It's not going to solve those problems. Because if the problem is that these people will die, It doesn't matter what you do, they will all die. We will all die. If the problem is that you want to take care of this body, then that will not succeed. And Arjuna is asking what to do. And then Krishna is presenting, well, Arjuna, my dear friend, I want to give you this understanding where you can actually understand everything, not in detail. I mean, he's not learning how to, mix paint that will be able to withstand the weather or to build a boat or something. But everything about the structure and the reality of us living in this world, that Krishna is giving Arjuna. Of course, we're just in the second chapter. This book has 18 chapters. And in the end, Krishna will say, I have given you all this knowledge, you make your choice. So he doesn't just say, okay, you have a problem, you don't want to kill people. Well, then put down your weapons. Or you have a problem, you miss your family. Well, go home and be with your family. Because that will just solve the situation for a few moments. And then tomorrow, they will still face the continuation of this situation. So that is when in this material world we try to solve problems, and we do solve certain problems. We do correct some injustices and imbalances and things like that. But the ultimate thing is that these are just symptoms. The symptoms of the fact that we as spirit souls are in a foreign environment. We are in this material world, and it will forever be frustrating. There is a small play we used to put up on our festivals of a fish out of water. And this fish, you may come and flatter it and feed it and give it money and friendship. But as long as that fish is out of water, all it can do is flap around in frustration and eventually die, because it's out of its element. And in a similar way, as a spirit soul, we're also out of our element. We are not going to die because the spirit soul is eternal, but we will be very uncomfortable as long as we have this identification with the material body. So there, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained a divine consciousness. So this is not exactly an instruction, because you can't take this one and say, okay, I will be fixed now. But it's understanding what we want to achieve, and with that understanding we can accept the instructions. And Prabhupada explains on the end here, he says that sometimes about Krishna consciousness, it's simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it is simple. If we are not very complicated, if we can simply accept that I am a spirit soul, I'm a tiny little individual person, and Krishna is God and I am his servant, and I want to develop that loving relationship of service to him, and therefore I will follow his instruction and the instructions of my spiritual master, then life becomes very simple. Obviously we have, we have many desires, we have many thoughts, we have many conditionings brought upon us in this life and in many previous lives. So they will come up in time, we will have different doubts, we will bring up those questions and so on. But if we can find this simple process of connecting to the sadhana bhakti, which means the practice of devotional service, and hold on to that, and hold on to this, this can be a kind of leading star, do you say that in English? Where we can determine in our life how are we doing by comparing it, how much are we fixed in our practice of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada took this knowledge from the Bhagavad-gita, took the lifestyle of Krishna consciousness from India and came here to the West in the middle of the 60s. And I feel very fortunate that I have access to this, and that's why I like to make it accessible also in this way. And I'm hoping you will take something with you from hearing the Bhagavad-gita. You're always welcome to write the question in the field for comments, and I will definitely come back to it. And I hope you will study the Bhagavad-gita deeper and take it to heart. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam